The winter wind was harsh that evening, sweeping across the small mountain town like icy knives. The streets were almost empty, covered with a thin layer of snow that glistened under the pale yellow streetlights. Inside her old cabin on the edge of the town, an elderly nurse named Mary sat near the fire, rubbing her hands together for warmth. She was 73 years old and had lived alone for many years after retiring from the town hospital. Her cabin was small but neat, filled with memories of her long service as a nurse. There were old photographs on the wooden walls, showing her younger days in a white uniform with a gentle smile. Mary had a quiet routine. Every morning she boiled tea, read the local newspaper, and then knitted scarves to give away at the church shelter. She had no children of her own, but she always said that she had helped deliver hundreds of babies in her lifetime. To her, every one of those little lives was a small part of her family. That night the storm was getting worse. The wind howled through the trees and snow began to fall harder. Mary looked out through the frosted window and sighed. She always worried about people who had no homes during such nights. She had seen too many lives lost to the cold during her nursing years. She picked up another log and placed it on the fire, watching the flames rise. Suddenly, she heard a faint sound from outside. At first, she thought it was the wind, but then she heard it again. It sounded like someone calling for help. Her heart began to beat faster. She took her old coat, wrapped a scarf around her head, and stepped outside into the freezing air. The snow was deep and each step felt heavy. The sound came from the road near the woods. As she got closer, she saw a small figure sitting by the roadside. It was a young woman, shivering under a thin blanket. Mary hurried toward her and saw that the woman's face was pale and her lips were blue. She looked very weak. When Mary bent down, she saw that the woman's belly was large. She was pregnant. "My goodness, child," Mary said, kneeling beside her. "You'll freeze out here." The young woman tried to speak, but her voice trembled. "I had nowhere else to go," she whispered. "I was walking, trying to find the shelter, but I got lost." Mary looked around. The road was empty. The snow kept falling. The temperature was dropping fast. Without thinking twice, she took the woman's arm. "Come with me." "You can't stay here," Mary said firmly. The woman tried to stand, but her legs were weak. Mary, though old, was strong from years of work. She held the woman close and slowly helped her walk through the snow. The cabin was not far, but in that cold it felt like miles. When they finally reached the porch, Mary quickly opened the door and helped her inside. The warm air hit them as they entered. The fire was still burning and the room glowed with orange light. Mary guided the woman to a wooden chair near the fire. The woman's body trembled, her teeth chattering as she tried to warm herself. Mary hurried to the kitchen and poured hot water into a cup. She added a bit of sugar and handed it to her. "Drink this slowly. It will warm you," she said gently. The woman nodded and took small sips. Color slowly returned to her face. Mary then brought an old wool blanket and wrapped it around her shoulders. "What's your name, dear?" Mary asked softly. The woman looked up with tired eyes. "Lena," she said. "My name is Lena," Mary smiled kindly. "I'm Mary. You're safe here now, Lena." Tears rolled down Lena's cheeks. "Thank you," she whispered. "I didn't think anyone would stop for me." "Everyone just passed by?" Mary shook her head. "No one should be left out in the cold, especially not someone expecting a baby." As Lena warmed up, she began to tell her story. She had been living in a small rented room in another town, but when the owner sold the building, she had nowhere to go. Her husband had left months ago, and since then she had been on her own. She tried to find work, but her pregnancy made it hard. She finally decided to walk to a nearby shelter, hoping to find a place before her baby came. But the weather had turned bad, and she lost her way in the snow. Mary listened quietly, her heart aching. She had seen many women like Lena during her career, women who were left alone in their most vulnerable moments. She placed a hand on Lena's shoulder. "You don't need to worry now. You'll stay here until the storm passes." Lena's eyes widened. "But I can't take you home," she said. "You've already done too much," Mary smiled. "Child, this old cabin has room for one more. I used to treat patients here long ago. It's still a safe place." Lena nodded slowly, overcome with emotion. She looked around at the cozy little cabin. The shelves were lined with books, jars of herbs, and folded blankets. There was a small bed near the window and another in the corner. It felt like a warm memory of a different time. Mary brought her a bowl of soup and a piece of bread. As Lena ate, Mary sat down beside her with a gentle expression. How far along are you?" she asked. "Almost 8 months," Lena replied softly. Mary nodded with concern. "Then you must rest. The cold can be dangerous for both you and the baby." That night, after Lena lay down on the small bed, Mary covered her with extra blankets. The wind outside grew louder, shaking the windows, but inside the cabin the fire kept burning bright. Mary sat by the fireplace, keeping watch. She could not sleep. She kept listening to the sound of the storm and occasionally looked at Lena, who was now sleeping peacefully for the first time in many days. As the night went on, Mary remembered her younger years. She had spent many nights like this in hospitals, staying awake beside mothers in labor, comforting them through fear and pain. She had promised herself long ago that she would never turn away from anyone in need. Now, even at 73, she was still keeping that promise. Outside, the snow piled higher. The road disappeared under the white blanket. No one would be able to travel until morning. Mary added another log to the fire, feeling the warmth rise again. She glanced at Lena, who stirred slightly in her sleep and murmured something softly. Mary whispered to herself, "You're safe now, child. You're safe here." The cabin creaked under the weight of the snow, but it stood firm. Inside, 2 lives, one old and one soon to be born, found shelter together on that freezing night. Mary sat quietly, her hands folded, her eyes fixed on the flames. The glow danced across her wrinkled face, showing peace and kindness. Though the world outside was cold and harsh, inside her little cabin there was still warmth, hope, and humanity. That was how the long night passed, an old nurse keeping watch over a new life, unaware that this meeting would soon change both their destinies. Morning came slowly, and the sun struggled to break through the thick clouds. The snow had settled over the town, turning everything into a sparkling white landscape. Mary woke to the soft sound of birds chirping outside and the faint smell of burning wood from the fireplace. She looked over at Lena, who was still asleep under the warm blankets. Her face was calm, relaxed for the first time in days. Mary quietly rose and went to the kitchen to prepare breakfast. She boiled water for tea and toasted some bread. She had some fresh milk left from the small market nearby and heated it for Lena. As she worked, she thought about the young woman who had arrived in the storm. Lena had nowhere to go, and now she was in Mary's cabin. She did not hesitate for a moment. In her heart, she knew it was the right thing to do. Soon Lena stirred and opened her eyes. The sunlight made her wince slightly, but she smiled weakly at Mary. "Good morning," Mary said warmly. "Sleep well?" Lena nodded. "For the first time in weeks," she said softly. Mary placed a plate with warm bread and a bowl of porridge in front of her. "Eat slowly. You need your strength," she said. Lena looked at the food and then at Mary. You are too kind. I don't know how to thank you." Mary shook her head. "You don't need to thank me. Everyone deserves safety and warmth. You will stay here as long as you need." As Lena ate, Mary watched her carefully. She noticed how weak the young woman still seemed. The pregnancy was making her tired, and the stormy walk from town had taken a toll. Mary decided to make a small plan to help Lena rest and regain strength. After breakfast, Mary helped Lena into a comfortable chair near the window. "We will take it slow," Mary said. "Today you rest. Tomorrow we will make a small trip to the town for some supplies." Lena nodded. She felt grateful and safe for the first time in a long while. She noticed the cabin was full of small comforts: books, warm blankets, and little jars of herbs on the shelves. Mary had always been careful to keep her home clean and welcoming. It was the kind of place that could make anyone feel at peace. Hours passed quietly. Mary sat near the fire, knitting a small blue sweater she had started weeks ago. Lena watched the flames dance and thought about how different her life had been just a day before. She remembered the cold wind, the empty streets, and the fear of being alone. Now here she was, safe and cared for by a stranger who had shown her more kindness than she had known in months. By afternoon, Mary decided to talk more with Lena about the baby. She gently asked, "Do you know if it's a boy or a girl?" Lena smiled faintly. "The doctor said it might be a girl, but we won't know for sure until she is born." Mary's eyes lit up. "A little girl. That is wonderful." Lena's expression softened. "I am scared," she admitted. "I don't have family here, and I don't know how I will take care of her." Mary took Lena's hand. "You are not alone. I will help you. We will make sure you and the baby are safe. You can stay here, and when the time comes, I will be with you. I have done this many times before. Lena felt tears forming in her eyes. She had feared rejection, cold words, or pity, but Mary's words were full of warmth without judgment. It was a comfort Lena had not felt in a long time. Later, as the afternoon sun faded behind the clouds, Mary and Lena prepared the cabin for the long evening. Mary stacked more firewood near the fireplace and cleaned up the kitchen. She even brought out a few old toys she had kept over the years, small wooden blocks and stuffed animals, thinking that Lena's baby might enjoy them one day. "I know you may not need these now," Mary said softly, showing the toys to Lena. "But when the baby comes, it will be good to have something familiar and warm." Lena smiled, a real smile that reached her eyes. "Thank you. I never thought anyone would care so much." As night approached, the temperature outside dropped further. Mary lit candles around the cabin to add extra warmth and coziness. Lena sat wrapped in blankets, sipping warm tea, feeling a sense of hope she hadn't felt in weeks. Mary sat beside her. "Lena, I want you to know something. Life can be hard, but kindness can make it easier. Sometimes people are lucky to find help when they least expect it. You found that help tonight, and it's okay to accept it." Lena looked at Mary with gratitude. "I don't know why you are helping me. I am a stranger to you." Mary smiled gently. "Because I have been where you are. I have seen fear, cold, and loneliness. I have also seen the miracle of life. Helping you is helping life itself. You and your baby are precious. That is reason enough." The two women sat in silence, listening to the soft crackling of the fire. Outside, the snow continued to fall, blanketing the world in white. Inside, there was warmth, safety, and a bond that had begun to grow between two very different generations. Mary then shared some stories from her past. She talked about babies she had delivered, the mothers she had cared for, and the challenges she had faced in her long career. Lena listened attentively, fascinated by the stories of courage, care, and resilience. Each story made her feel less alone and more connected to the world around her. At one point, Lena asked, "Mary, did you ever get scared?" Mary thought for a moment. "Of course. Sometimes the danger or the unknown can be frightening, but fear teaches us to be careful and brave. Courage does not mean never being scared. It means helping others even when you are scared." Lena nodded slowly. She realized that courage was exactly what she needed now, not only for herself but for her baby. And seeing Mary's strength gave her hope that she could face the challenges ahead. As night deepened, Lena finally prepared to sleep. Mary helped her settle under the thick blankets and placed a small pillow for her head. The cabin was quiet except for the soft sound of the wind outside and the steady burn of the fire. Mary sat nearby, her knitting forgotten for a while, watching over Lena. Before closing her eyes, Lena whispered, "Thank you, Mary, for everything." Mary smiled. "Sleep well, Lena. Tomorrow is a new day and we will face it together." That night, a sense of calm filled the cabin. Outside, the storm raged, but inside there was peace. Two lives, different in age and experience, had found each other. An old nurse and a young mother-to-be had begun a friendship that would grow stronger with every passing day. And so, the first bond between Mary and Lena was formed, a bond built on trust, kindness, and the quiet strength of shared humanity. That night, the cabin was more than a shelter. It was a place of hope, a place where a new chapter of life had begun for both of them. The snow fell through the night, covering the world in white silence, while inside the cabin, warmth, safety, and friendship glowed brighter than any fire. The morning after the storm was calm but still cold. The snow had covered the town in a thick white blanket. Mary and Lena woke to a soft pale light coming through the frost-covered windows. Mary could see the footprints of animals in the snow outside. Birds were pecking at seeds left near the trees, and the air smelled crisp and clean. Mary got up first and quietly went to the kitchen. She boiled water for tea and prepared a small breakfast. Lena, still wrapped in blankets, watched her from the chair near the fire. The warmth of the cabin was comforting, but Lena knew that soon she would have to face the cold outside to get supplies. Mary placed a bowl of porridge and a piece of toast on the table and called Lena. "Eat something first. You need your strength for today." Lena nodded, taking small bites. She felt a mix of gratitude and worry. She had been homeless and alone for weeks. Now she had a warm cabin, food, and someone who cared for her. Yet she knew that surviving outside in the town was still a challenge. After breakfast, Mary decided it was time to plan their trip to the town market. The storm had left roads covered in snow and walking would be difficult. She wrapped Lena in a thick coat, put a scarf over her head, and added gloves. "We will take it slow," Mary said. "Step by step, we will get what we need." Lena held Mary's hand as they stepped outside. The cold hit her immediately. Her breath formed little clouds in the air, and her feet sank into the soft snow. Mary moved steadily, guiding her. "Don't rush," she reminded. "We have all the time we need." They walked slowly down the path to the town. The streets were empty. The shops closed due to the snow, and the only sounds were the crunch of snow under their feet and the occasional rustle of branches. Mary noticed Lena shivering despite the warm coat. She gently encouraged her. "We are almost there, one step at a time." When they reached the small market, the doors were slightly open. Mary pushed the door gently, and the warm smell of baked bread and fresh produce greeted them. The shopkeeper, Mr. Thompson, was surprised to see them. "Good morning, Mary, and who is this?" he asked kindly. "This is Lena," Mary replied. "She needs some help today. Could you give us a few things she may need?" Mr. Thompson nodded immediately. "Of course. We have blankets, fresh vegetables, and some milk for you. No need to pay now. Consider it a gift for the cold weather." Mary smiled. "Thank you, Mr. Thompson. You are always kind." As Lena picked some vegetables and bread, she noticed people looking at her with curiosity. She felt nervous and embarrassed. Mary noticed and whispered, "Ignore them. You have nothing to feel ashamed of. You are doing your best?" Lena nodded, her cheeks turning slightly red. She had been judged many times for being homeless, but Mary's words gave her courage. They collected food, milk, and some small items for the baby, including a tiny blanket and a soft cloth toy. Mary carefully placed the items in a bag and held it close. On the way back to the cabin, they moved slowly but steadily. The snow was deep and the cold made their faces red. Mary noticed Lena's struggle and said, "Let's take a short rest by that tree." They stopped for a few minutes, catching their breath and sipping warm water from a flask Mary had brought. When they finally reached the cabin, Lena let out a sigh of relief. "I didn't think I could make it," she admitted. Mary laughed softly. "You did well, and you are stronger than you think. Every step you take now is for your baby." After unloading the supplies, Mary showed Lena how to store the food safely. "This will last for a few days," she explained. "We can prepare meals together, and you will rest in between." Lena smiled, feeling more comfortable in the cabin. She noticed the care Mary took in arranging everything. It was a small place, but it had everything she needed. For the first time, she felt like she belonged somewhere. Later in the afternoon, Mary brought out a small notebook. "We can keep track of everything you need for the baby," she said. "Clothes, food, and everything else. This way, we won't forget anything." Lena looked at the notebook and then at Mary. "You are very organized," she said softly. Mary smiled. "After so many years of nursing, I learned that planning helps. It makes life easier, especially when caring for someone." The two women spent the afternoon preparing small meals together. Lena chopped vegetables with Mary's guidance and learned how to make simple soup and bread. Mary taught her little tricks that made cooking easier. Lena listened carefully, absorbing every word. It was not just food she was learning to prepare. It was also the knowledge of caring for herself and her baby. As the evening approached, the wind began to pick up again. Mary added more firewood to the stove and checked on Lena. "Rest now. Tomorrow we will continue," she said gently. Lena lay down under the blankets, feeling the warmth of the fire on her face. "Mary, I never expected someone to care so much," she whispered. Mary took Lena's hand and held it. "Sometimes life brings us together for a reason. We help each other because that is what makes the world better. You will see that small acts of kindness can change everything." The night was quiet except for the soft crackle of the fire. Mary kept watch over Lena, thinking about the days ahead. She knew that the road would not be easy. There were challenges in the town, difficulties in caring for a baby, and the struggles Lena had already faced. But she also knew that together, they could overcome anything. The bond between the two women grew stronger with every passing hour. Lena felt a growing trust in Mary, and Mary felt a renewed sense of purpose in helping Lena. It was as if fate had brought them together on that cold night, and now their lives were intertwined in ways neither could have imagined. Mary remembered how lonely her life had been after retirement. She had spent her days quietly, helping occasionally at the church shelter, but now she had someone who needed her fully. It gave her energy, hope, and a reason to move forward each day. Meanwhile, Lena felt a warmth she had never known before. She had faced so many nights alone, shivering under blankets in empty rooms or on park benches. Now she had a safe place, food, and a guiding hand to help her through. The fear she had carried for weeks began to fade, replaced by gratitude and determination to prepare for her baby's arrival. As the night deepened, Lena fell asleep under the blankets, feeling more at ease than ever. Mary sat by the fire, thinking about the future. She knew there would be challenges, but she also knew that courage, care, and kindness could carry them through anything. Outside, the wind howled softly against the cabin walls, but inside, there was peace. Two lives, different in age and experience, were connected by a shared purpose and a growing friendship. Mary and Lena had found each other in the storm, and now, they were preparing to face the days ahead together. Before closing her eyes for the night, Mary whispered softly to herself, "We will get through this. We will keep you safe, Lena, and your little one too." The fire burned steadily, lighting up the small cabin and creating a sense of warmth that no storm could touch. And so another day passed, leaving behind hope, trust, and the quiet promise of brighter days to come. The days passed quietly at the cabin, each one filled with small acts of care and growing friendship. Mary had settled into a routine, ensuring that Lena had enough food, warmth, and rest. Lena, in turn, began to feel more confident, her spirits lifting as she learned from Mary's experience and kindness. Outside, the snow continued to blanket the world, but inside the cabin was a place of warmth, laughter, and hope. One morning, Lena woke feeling slightly more tired than usual. She noticed a subtle ache in her lower back and a tightness in her stomach. She tried to ignore it, thinking it was just part of the pregnancy, but Mary noticed the slight discomfort immediately. "Lena, how are you feeling today?" Mary asked, her voice calm but attentive. "I feel okay," Lena replied, though her face betrayed a hint of worry. "Just a little tired." Mary gently took Lena's hand. "You are carrying a life inside you. Fatigue is normal, but we must be careful. Today we will focus on resting and preparing the cabin for your baby. There is much to do, and it is better to do it step by step." Lena nodded, feeling reassured. She had learned to trust Mary's judgment. The older woman had a quiet confidence, the kind that only comes from years of experience. Mary had been a nurse for decades, and now her care extended beyond hospitals and patients. It was personal, filled with love and concern for a young mother-to-be she had only recently met. Mary started by organizing a small corner of the cabin for the baby. She placed a clean, soft blanket in a wooden cradle, arranging it carefully. Lena watched as Mary worked with gentle hands, smoothing out every wrinkle and folding extra blankets neatly nearby. "This will be your baby's place," Mary said. "It must be comfortable and safe. A warm cradle can make a big difference in the first days." Lena felt her heart swell. "It looks perfect," she whispered. "I never imagined something like this for my child." Mary smiled. "You deserve this, Lena. Every mother deserves a safe place for her baby." After preparing the cradle, Mary brought out small bundles of baby clothes. They were simple but soft and clean, washed carefully and folded with love. Lena helped, learning to fold tiny onesies and organize socks and mittens. "You see," Mary said, "preparing for a baby is not just about having things. It is about being ready to care, to give warmth and attention. That is what matters most." As they worked together, Lena felt a sense of purpose growing inside her. The cabin was no longer just a place of safety. It was becoming a home. She realized that for the first time in a long while, she could imagine a future that included hope, care, and love. That evening, Mary suggested they make a simple meal. The snow had stopped, leaving a sparkling silence outside. Lena stirred a pot of soup while Mary sliced bread and prepared some tea. The cabin smelled of warmth and comfort, and for a moment all worries felt distant. "Mary," Lena said quietly, "how did you do all these things for so many years? Caring for so many people, helping mothers, babies. It seems endless." Mary looked at her with gentle eyes. "It is endless, yes. But it is also full of rewards. Every life you help, every smile you see, every small comfort you give, that is why it is worth it. Even now, helping you brings me the same joy I felt years ago." Lena smiled. She felt a deep gratitude for Mary's presence. It was not just the cabin, the warmth, or the food. It was the care, the wisdom, and the quiet reassurance that she was not alone. The following days were filled with small but meaningful activities. Mary taught Lena how to care for herself during the final months of pregnancy. They practiced gentle exercises to ease back pain, discussed ways to stay warm, and even talked about how to handle the baby when it arrived. Mary's experience guided Lena, and her patient teaching helped Lena feel more confident and capable. One afternoon, Mary took out a notebook and a pen. "Let us make a plan," she said. "We need to know what we need for the baby, what you need, and how to take care of everything safely." Lena watched as Mary wrote down items carefully: diapers, blankets, clothes, food, and medicines. Mary also noted emergency contacts and simple instructions for the days after the baby arrived. Lena felt a weight lift from her shoulders. Everything that had felt overwhelming now seemed manageable. Days turned into weeks, and Lena's belly grew larger. Mary remained attentive, noticing the smallest signs of discomfort or fatigue. She would gently remind Lena to rest, to drink enough water, and to eat properly. She prepared warm baths for her and guided her through breathing exercises to ease stress and tension. Lena began to feel strong and cared for, more prepared for the arrival of her child than she had ever imagined. One morning, Mary looked at Lena and said, "The baby will arrive soon. We must be ready for everything. Do not worry, Lena, you will not be alone." Lena nodded, her eyes full of trust. "I am ready," she whispered. "Because you are here with me." Mary smiled and placed her hand over Lena's. "We will face it together. That is what matters." Evenings were calm in the cabin. The fire glowed, casting shadows on the walls filled with memories of Mary's past and hopes for the future. Lena would sit by the fire, feeling the warmth seep into her tired body. She began to sing softly, small lullabies she remembered from childhood, imagining singing them to her baby one day. Mary listened quietly, her heart full of hope and anticipation. One night, as the wind howled outside, Lena stirred in bed. She felt a sudden tightening in her stomach, stronger than before. She gasped softly and called out, "Mary." Mary was immediately at her side. "Lena, calm down. Tell me what you feel," she said, steady and calm. "My stomach. It hurts. I think the baby is coming soon," Lena said, her voice trembling with a mix of fear and excitement. Mary nodded, her years of experience taking over. "It is all right. Take deep breaths. You are safe here. The baby is coming, and I will help you. We are ready?" Mary quickly prepared the room. She cleared space near the cradle, brought extra blankets, warm water, and a small basket of supplies. She guided Lena to lie down comfortably, helping her adjust her position for safety and ease. Lena's breathing grew steady under Mary's calm instructions. As the night deepened, Mary stayed by Lena's side, offering words of comfort and guidance. She reminded her to focus on the baby, to stay calm, and to trust her own strength. Lena felt the warmth of Mary's hand on hers, the steady voice that guided her through the uncertainty. Hours passed, and the pain gradually changed from fear to the miracle of new life. Mary remained composed, her experience giving Lena courage. With every breath, every push, Lena felt closer to the child she had carried for months. Mary supported her gently, never rushing, never judging, only guiding with wisdom and care. Finally, after what felt like an eternity and a lifetime in the same moment, Lena held her baby for the first time. The room was silent except for the soft cry of the newborn. Lena's eyes filled with tears, a mixture of relief, joy, and love. Mary smiled warmly, tears shining in her own eyes. "You did wonderfully, Lena. Look at your baby. Safe, warm, and alive." Lena cradled her child, overwhelmed with gratitude. She looked at Mary and whispered, "Thank you for everything. I would have been lost without you." Mary gently patted Lena's hand. "No, Lena, you did it. You brought this life into the world. I only helped you. Now you are a mother and you are strong. Remember that." The first hours passed quietly, the fire glowing and the cabin filled with warmth. Mother and child rested, and Mary stayed nearby, offering support and guidance. The bond between the three of them, Mary, Lena, and the newborn, was unbreakable, formed through trust, care, and shared courage. That night, for the first time in many weeks, Lena slept peacefully, the baby safe in her arms. Mary watched the two of them, her heart full. The storm outside had passed long ago, but inside the cabin a new life had begun, bringing hope, love, and warmth that could never be frozen away. The cabin was quiet that morning. Sunlight poured softly through the frost-covered windows, touching the wooden walls and the soft blankets where Lena and her newborn daughter slept. Mary sat nearby in her chair, knitting a small pink sweater for the baby. She glanced at the child, marveling at the tiny fingers and gentle breathing. The little life in Lena's arms was a miracle, a promise of hope and warmth. Lena stirred awake, blinking at the light. Her eyes fell on her daughter, and a smile spread across her tired but joyful face. "Hello, little one," she whispered softly. "You are safe now." Mary looked up and smiled. "She is beautiful, Lena. You did wonderfully." Lena's hands trembled slightly as she held the baby. "I don't know what I would have done without you, Mary. You gave me shelter, care, and hope." Mary shook her head gently. "No, Lena. You found the courage inside yourself. I only helped guide you. Now you are a mother, and this is your strength." The morning passed slowly, filled with small tasks. Mary helped Lena feed the baby, change her tiny clothes, and place her back gently in the cradle for a nap. Lena began to feel more confident with each passing hour, learning how to care for her child with Mary's guidance. By afternoon, Mary suggested they take a short walk outside. "Fresh air will do you both good," she said. She wrapped the baby warmly and held Lena's hand as they stepped into the sparkling snow. The world outside was calm and beautiful, with sunlight reflecting off the white ground. Birds chirped from the nearby trees, and the cold air felt refreshing after weeks of storm and struggle. Lena walked slowly, her steps careful, but she felt a lightness she had not known before. For weeks she had feared being alone, facing hunger, cold, and uncertainty. Now she had a home, a child, and a friend who cared for her deeply. Each step forward was a step into a life filled with hope. As they returned to the cabin, Mary and Lena discussed the future. They talked about the little things that would make life easier, how to care for the baby, ways to prepare food, and how to stay warm during the coming winter. Mary's experience guided every decision, but she encouraged Lena to speak, to learn, and to take responsibility for her new life. "You see, Lena," Mary said softly, "being a mother is not only about caring for your child. It is also about believing in yourself, trusting your own strength, and never giving up even when life is hard." Lena nodded. "I feel stronger now. Not just because of you, Mary, but because I want to be strong for her. I want to give her a life full of love." Mary smiled warmly. "And you will. You already have the heart for it." Days turned into weeks. The cabin was alive with the sound of the baby's coos, soft laughter, and the smell of home-cooked meals. Lena and Mary formed a rhythm, balancing care, rest, and preparation for the future. Each day Lena grew more confident, learning to change diapers, prepare bottles, and soothe her daughter when she cried. Mary's patience and guidance were constant, always present when needed, but allowing Lena space to grow and learn. One evening, as the sun set in shades of pink and gold, Mary suggested they prepare a small celebration for the baby's first week at the cabin. Lena was hesitant at first, unsure if there was anything to celebrate after so much hardship. Mary took her hand gently. "Every life is worth celebrating, Lena. You brought your daughter safely into the world. That is reason enough." They prepared a simple meal with fresh bread, soup, and warm tea. Lena's baby slept peacefully in her cradle, wrapped in soft blankets. The cabin glowed with light and warmth, a small beacon of hope in the quiet winter evening. As they ate, Mary shared stories from her nursing days. She told Lena about the children she had helped, the mothers she had guided, and the simple joys she had witnessed. Lena listened, captivated by the tales of courage and care. She realized that even in the harshest times, kindness and love could change lives. After the meal, Lena looked at Mary with tears in her eyes. "I will never forget what you did for me. You gave me hope when I thought all was lost." Mary reached across the table and held her hand. "You must remember this, Lena. Hope is something you carry inside yourself. I only helped you see it. Now you must hold it for yourself and for your daughter." The next days brought small but meaningful routines. Mary helped Lena make small clothes for the baby, taught her simple songs and lullabies, and showed her ways to care for herself while caring for the child. Lena's confidence grew, and she began to smile more often, her laughter filling the cabin along with the baby's gentle cries. One afternoon, there was a knock on the cabin door. Lena, holding her daughter, went to open it carefully. Standing outside was a young man in a thick coat and scarf. He looked nervous but hopeful. "Hello," he said. "I'm Daniel. I heard about a woman in need. I wanted to help. Mary stepped forward. This is Lena and her baby. You may come in. Daniel entered cautiously. He explained that he was a volunteer at the town shelter and had heard about Lena's situation. He wanted to provide assistance with food, supplies, and other support as she adjusted to life as a new mother. Lena looked at Mary, unsure. Mary smiled gently. See, Lena? The world has good people. You are not alone, and now your daughter will grow up with care from more than one person. Lena felt overwhelmed but grateful. Tears filled her eyes. Thank you, she said softly. I didn't think anyone would care after everything I went through. Mary placed a comforting hand on her shoulder. You are strong, Lena, but even the strong need help sometimes. Accept it. Let others join you in your journey. With Daniel's help, Mary and Lena organized the cabin to accommodate new supplies. They set up storage for food, medicine, and baby care items. Lena learned to accept support while maintaining her own growing independence. The cabin became a small community of care, kindness, and hope. As the weeks turned into months, Lena's confidence as a mother grew. She fed, bathed, and nurtured her daughter with grace and patience. Mary watched, proud and satisfied, knowing she had guided Lena through one of life's most challenging and beautiful moments. One cold evening, Lena held her daughter and whispered softly, Mommy will always keep you safe, little one. Mary sat nearby, knitting a new sweater, and said, and she will always know the warmth of care and love that surrounds her. The cabin, once quiet and lonely, was now filled with life, laughter, and hope. Mary, Lena, and the baby had created a home from the ashes of hardship. The storm that had brought them together seemed like a distant memory, replaced by warmth, trust, and a bright future. Mary reflected on the journey they had shared. From a night of freezing cold and fear, a bond had formed that changed lives forever. She had given shelter to Lena, but in truth, Lena and her daughter had given her something too, a renewed sense of purpose, the joy of new life, and the fulfillment of care and kindness. Lena looked at Mary one evening as they watched the fire burn. I don't know how to repay you, she said. Mary shook her head. There is no repayment needed. The gift of life, the care of a child, and the strength to move forward, that is reward enough. You are now a mother, and that is your greatest gift. The baby stirred, cooing softly, and Lena smiled, rocking her gently. The glow from the fire and the quiet of the snowy night filled the cabin with a sense of peace. Outside, the cold winter world continued, but inside there was warmth, safety, and hope that could never be frozen away. Mary thought about the many years she had spent as a nurse. She had cared for countless people, seen life and death, joy and sorrow, but this moment felt special. Helping Lena and her baby had reminded her of the simple, powerful impact of kindness. It was a gift that changed lives forever. And so, in the small cabin on the edge of the snowy town, life began anew. A young mother had found safety, a newborn had found warmth, and an elderly nurse had found purpose once again. Together, they faced the future with hope, courage, and the knowledge that kindness and care could create miracles even in the coldest times. The cabin stood firm against the winter winds, a small sanctuary filled with laughter, love, and life. The journey had been hard, but it had led to a new beginning, a beginning that promised warmth, safety, and the beauty of a life shared with those who care. Mary, Lena, and the baby sat together by the fire, a family formed not by blood but by compassion, trust, and the quiet strength of hearts willing to give and receive love. And in that warmth, the coldest winter outside seemed a distant memory, replaced by the warmth of a new life and a bright future waiting to be embraced.